Hey guys, my name is Jamesicus, and today I'm bringing you a video of Phasma versus Raider. On the left, we have Raul with his unique take on Vader Raider. He slots in several interesting cards that you'll see throughout the game today. Most of them actually do not come into play in this game, but he does run things like Rise Again to really trap your opponent into thinking he's going to play something like Force Lightning or just pooling resources to be able to resolve, the Raider damage side or maybe a lightsaber with damage on it that does cost a resource. But then instead he heals and plays something huge on Vader, and all of a sudden you can go from actually, really in the competition for a game to really far behind. And so I really like his take on Vader Raider, and I'm really liking what Spirit of Rebellion did for that deck. I've seen a lot of people run control variants and aggressive variants, but both versions seem to have elements of the other. Most control decks I've seen do run some lightsabers, do run some heavy hitting things, definitely run vibro knives, but can be really versatile and play both sides, and that's really what I like about Blue Villain. They can do a lot of kind of riding between the two lines. And you'll see on the right, I actually have Elite Phasma, and you can see that uh, I just lost my battlefield, which was Rebel High Command, so we're going with Cargo Hold today. My deck is an Elite Phasma deck. Phasma gives Guardian to non-uniques, and so I'm running with the First Order Stormtrooper and Guavian Enforcer. Starting off the bat right away with a Holdout Blaster, rolling Phasma out. You'll see that play for me a lot early game. Uh, but right now, Raul is playing one fast hands and then another on Vader, so any amount of Guardian and Control I actually have in my deck doesn't matter if he rolls two damage sides or rolls two relevant sides, whether it needs shields, resources, resource removal, what have you. So I'm going to roll in the Stormtrooper. I'm kind of going in, and part of the reason for that is I have two suppression, or one suppression in my deck, and two he doesn't like you, and I need dice on the field to activate those cards. So I am rolling in a little bit earlier. So now we have a Holocron on Raider, which really enables some pretty nasty stuff. And so Raul now has the option to discard, which he does. He discards a Feel Your Anger to resolve that special, and then he's going to pay a resource because he spent no resources for 3 upgrades, now 4, and he gets the Force Lightning out with 3 damage for 1 resource. And so he had to pay no resources to do that, and he was able to do that before I had a chance to remove it. So that's pretty nice. Then you see the DH-17 coming out, and so the Phasma deck runs very cheap upgrades, and I'll post a deck list down below in the description so you can see what I'm currently running, and I will be updating it soon, so be sure to check out future videos. I'm sure I'll do another feature on it. There goes 3 damage into Phasma. Not terrible for early game, or 4 damage, I'm sorry. So pretty heavy hit, but we'll see what happens from Vader here. This could get really scary. But as you can see, he gets a shield and a resource. So now he can fast hands both of those, but it's not damage, and that makes me happy. And yep, so you can see he takes the shield and the resource, which is not a terrible thing. Spending the focus to get to 5 damage on board. And there's a damage to Phasma, and we're going to do the 5 damage to Vader, so that gets through his shield and gets him to 4 damage. Cargo Hold moving the Holdout Blaster, which is kind of nasty. The nice thing about Cargo Hold is it doesn't remove the dice when you move the upgrade. And Holdout Blaster, it doesn't really matter where it is because it has redeploy. The beauty of this Phasma deck in Spirit of the Rebellion is I was able to go from running Night Sister to running Guavian, and so I never ran the Balatique version. I liked having 2 non-uniques, and Night Sister gave a good element of control. Now, Guavian is far stronger than Night Sister, I'd say, because of its ability to remove shields, its 9 health, and its access to yellow that Balatique really added to the Awakenings Phasma. Now I have access to He Doesn't Like You, and Electroshock, which are 2 of the big things. I also choose to run Ascension Gun over Jetpack in this deck because of the non-modified sides, just making it a little bit more consistent. But you can see here, Raul did roll in Vader. He did, after he put a Vibro Knife on. Vibro Knife is really nasty. If you don't have 2 copies of that card, I definitely recommend seeking him out now. Just like Holdout Blaster, I think it belongs in every deck that runs melee. Just like Holdout Blaster will be in every deck that runs ranged. So you can see there, I took a damage on the Guavian, removing the Vibro Knife damage. I definitely wanted to get that out because I don't want to be taking damage through shields on the First Order Stormtrooper because he can die very quickly, and I very purposely put that one shield there. You can see from Raul, he's rolling low on damage, but the 3-for-1 from the Raider is really good. And so he's going to resolve that now, taking Phasma up to 7 damage. So she only has 4 health left, which is really low for this early in the game. Normally she sits a lot higher health, and so this new meta has actually sped things up quite a bit with the fast hands and force speeds. So we're going to roll her in, obviously, but that I did not want to see that. The blank on Phasma means that he can special to remove my blank and reroll Force Lightning. And he did reroll into another special, so he could continue going and just rolling that damage through again and again, just like Black 1 can. And it even offers an element of control. The reason I definitely rolled Phasma in, though, was because the First Order Stormtrooper having 2 blanks means that it's really hard to roll when they have a Force Lightning sitting on the other side. Them getting to enable rerolls that way is really nasty, especially because it's setting you so much further behind your opponent. Raul get really unlucky with his rerolls, rolling into another double disrupt. Then again, though, that first double disrupt did set me back quite a bit this round. And then you can see I got a little lucky, did not hit the 1/3 chance to get a blank, so I did get a resource and a damage. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Guavian and its action ability. So you'll see me at various points in the game re-rolling Guavian even though it already has damage on it because he has a shield on a character. Guavian can get a lot of value. Oh, there's another double disrupt. That's really rough. But Guavian can get a lot of value out of that action. It can re-roll every time you have to re-roll other cards. And so you may as well re-roll it, because if they have a shield, you can just remove it and remove the shield, and so only the 2 damage side is a damage increase, and everything else, it doesn't matter. So you'll see me use that multiple times in this game, and it's just a really nice feature of that card that I wasn't expecting. So there's a very interesting reroll. Raul does discard Force Speed to re-roll Darth Vader's die. I think that's a totally acceptable answer. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't do that. I think Force Speed is one of those cards where it's incredibly nice, but much less needed in Vader Raider than on the hero side. Rey Luke and Han Rey really benefit from it far more because you can drop Vibro Knife or Hold Out Blaster and Force Speed in a turn and continue rolling through. Roll Rey in from there, resolve the special, roll Han in and resolve a ton of damage, or roll Luke in and resolve a ton of damage. But he's got the Raider, who can discard cards to effectively do the same thing, and Fast Hands to effectively do the same thing if he rolls well, which unfortunately he's not. But you can see there, I did force over the Force Lightning by claiming Cargo Hold earlier than I would have wanted to. I would have liked to get the Guavian's ability off, but I did want to move that Force Lightning, so he couldn't just resolve that die before I could do anything. Yes, he can do it off Vader, but now he has to choose between 2 Vader dice and the Force Lightning, so he can lose a lot of damage that way. Raul rolling in again. That Vader discard is really nice. Really gets rid of a lot of options for decks that want to be re-rolling a lot. And you can see there, this game really came down to dice. He really was due for a much better roll here, but he did roll 2 blanks and really non-impactful results from there, a resource and a shield. And that really is not what he wanted to see. He needed to keep the damage rolling through. Phasma's been dug in at this point at the beginning of this round. And while Vibro Blade can make her die very quickly here, with only 2 health left, you can see here that I am going to make sure that because he used the Force here to set his Vader die to 3 damage, that does take it out of Electroshock range, which would have been really nice, but it's Phasma, so we're just going to use Guardian here with the Guavian Enforcer to take that 3 damage, spread the damage out, make it harder for him to kill characters. Then again, if ever you run up against Thermal Detonator in a situation like this, the game can go from in a really good spot, where it is here, to a really poor spot. So now that those are showing up with Pomaz, Phasma is having trouble in a few places here. Alright, so you see I just go ahead and best defense, even though, because he used the Force again, and that just got rid of Vader's die being set to 3 again, and even though the Force Lightning is set to a blank, it's likely he would have re-rolled in a round or two, and that could have been really bad for me. So now he rolls in the Raider and gets the 1 range damage, which isn't terrible for the Raider, but we're going to roll in here with Phasma. And the discard Phasma's dice are absolutely fantastic. 1 damage, 2 damage, a focus, a resource, and a discard. The focus gets used quite a bit, can really smooth things out. But the discard is really nice against Pomaz and some of these decks that are bouncing things with Holocron. And you can see there I re-rolled, and now I have 8 damage sitting on the table. 2 from the Stormtrooper, 2 from the modified 2 from the Holdout, 2 on Phasma, 2 on the Guavian, and Raul, because of that roll earlier in the round, had to spend cards just to get damage through that didn't go where he wanted it to. And here you'll see Cargo Hold used to once again move the Holdout Blaster around. With enough damage to kill Vader, I think that Force Lightning should have moved onto the Raider. It would have kept it scary, but I think we're going to see Cargo Hold used more in that effect as time goes on. This is right after the set came out a couple weeks ago. But Cargo Hold is really nasty against Phasma. The ability to lose things like Imperial Discipline onto the wrong characters, having DH-17 move around and not be able to move back can be really bad. Of course, Holdout Blaster and F11D are just fine with the redeploy. They don't care where they go. It all ends up working, but where the deck really can have some problems is when armor plating gets moved around, especially with the best defense. The best defense works amazingly well with armor plating. You get to remove 2 dice, likely showing 4 to 6 damage. And then you take 1. So remove 6 damage for 1 resource and 1 damage is absolutely insane. And so I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. And now that we are in a faster meta, I do really like their best defense a lot more than I used to. I felt like in Awakenings, taking the extra damage didn't do enough. But there you can see 8 damage went through to Vader, so now he is dead. And then I'm going to take Isolation away with the last dice. And I really like that. And then you can see the Rise again get discarded as soon as Vader dies. If he had been able to get that off, I think this game would have gone incredibly differently. And so now we're drawing back up, and he's down to just the Raider versus Phasma with both Guardians up. And so I think we're going to see this go pretty favorably. And so we have Vibro Knife being dropped right into a Holocron. And so just like that, the Raider goes from having almost nothing on it to being really full up. And then you see the armor plating get moved over, or get played onto Phasma, and just a little cleanup there, moving the Holdout Blaster die. So once again, you can see the roll from Raul is okay. He really wanted to see the 3-for-1 and didn't get it. There goes the Force Choke in using the Holocron. I think discarding there is actually a good choice, so I don't get rid of it. Raul had spent his resources on the Vibro Knife there, so he didn't have the resource to roll that in, and we just caught that after the roll. Alright, so here comes Phasma in, and there you can see the focus, and when you get Imperial Discipline on Phasma and start rolling the focuses, you just start to see a lot of damage sit around, and without having to discard cards, you can reliably get 4 to 6 damage out around with Phasma and the other guys. And that's just it feels really good when that engine gets going. Obviously, that didn't happen this time. Didn't even have a chance to sit down and play an Imperial Discipline, and may not have even seen one this game. Yeah, so the armor plating is really keeping this at a tight spot. So even if he does get some damage through from the Raider, armor plating makes sure that Phasma stays alive. But there you go. You can see I flanked the Vibro Knife dice away, and he does take the shield to try and keep the Raider alive a little longer. So he claims Cargo Bay and does move the armor plating over. And I think the Stormtrooper is the perfect spot for that there. And so now we're back to the Guavian not needing to roll anything other than the 2 damage. And it effectively has 5 1 damage sides and 1 2 damage side, which is just fantastic. Bit of a misplay here on my side. I should have kept the focus, because then I could have turned the other Phasma dice to 2 damage here, and that would have put me in a really nice spot, but you're going to have to see me burn another card here to get through the try and try and do the most damage I possibly can here. Alright, so I pull a discard, get rid of his last card, pull a shield off, and then do 4 damage. But discarding that Tactical Mastery can be really bad, especially if he rolls the Raider in. Let's say he gets some damage there, is able to get Phasma to 10 damage through shields because of Vibro Knife. Tactical Mastery can really pull me out of a nasty spot by letting me roll Phasma in and hopefully rolling 4 damage before he gets to go. But here we can see him, he's going to roll in all 4 dice. But at this point, the game is pretty much wrapped up with the Raider only having 4 health left. Yeah, and once again, that roll is really tough on roll, and his damage just stopped about halfway through this game, and that just makes it tough. So he does discard to discard a random card from my hand, using the Force Choke die, and let's see what he pulls here. Gotta make the right pick. And he does get an Electroshock, which is really nice. But a little inconsequential because I do happen to have the other in my hand. So that's going to actually go in right now. Get rid of the Vibro Knife. Make it so even with a good reroll, he can't get Phasma down this turn. And I still don't have any of my characters rolled in, so the ability for me to get 4 damage through is going to be pretty high here. And there goes the Unpredictable to roll the special out, so he does do that. And there goes the Force Lightning. And then he's going to pay 1 to roll it in. And had he gotten the special there, he actually could have used it, which I don't necessarily agree with. The ability for that to be in the same window, but it doesn't even matter here because I flank right away. I definitely want to get that dice out of there because the 4 damage and 1 more damage off the Raider does mean that I could just straight up lose there, or lose Phasma there, and that could be really nasty. My damage output would go way down, and that could actually keep Rel in the game long enough. And there you can see, alright, so he doesn't like you to get rid of the 2 damage there, keeping me from being able to finish him off. The Guavian does roll blank again, and then he's going to claim because he's out of actions. And so he moves the armor plating. I think it probably could have stayed, but moving it around is fine. And there you go. I had extra resources, so there's the GG.